Frère Jacques Grépou pour Marquis de Saturette.
Fidel Duster, Croissant, Les Misérables, First Catcher, Luke Robitaille, D'Artagnan, Perrier, Friend Tarkenton, Peanut Buster, Parfait.
Eau de toilette.
Eau de Doudadin.
Super Troopers 2. It exists. It's here. It's a real movie, and we have seen it. Can you believe it?
No, I actually can't. How long has it been? What, like 15 years?
Like 16, 17 years.
17 years?
We're gonna tell you all about Super Troopers 2, but first, subscribe to GameSpot Universe for more of the stuff that you love right now.
All right, Farva. You got him.
Is Farva even in that joke?
Your registration? Hurry up, meow.
I don't know, he's not. So it's funny, because when we went to go see the movie, we were talking about it beforehand, and I was telling you, I kind of loudly at the theater when I shouldn't have been, but I was just like, you know, I don't know what to think, because the last time I saw Super Troopers, I liked it, but I was in high school.
Yeah, it was a super long time ago, and the entire Broken Lizard comedy troupe was in the theater, so I was like, dude, shut up.
I had to get my thoughts out. It was really important.
So what did you think of the original Super Troopers?
Well,
Were you a fan?
Yeah. But and that was the thing, is I liked the original Super Troopers, but I was a junior in high school when I saw it, and humor changes over time. I mean, the type of things I enjoy as humor has changed.
I smoke a lot less weed now than I used to.
Like I didn't smoke then, I don't smoke now, but which is funny that I enjoyed the movie because it's very much a pie type of movie.
It's stoner I feel like it captured a moment in time of the early aughts.
Yeah.
Stoner comedy. Things were a lot different then.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what movies were popular then and what type of comedy was popular. It's like not another teen movie.
Right.
Van Wilder.
Wilder.
Yeah, Waiting.
Oh,
those are the
man.
movies where it's like the gross out comedy stuff. Like you said, the stoner comedies.
I do think Super Troopers kind of holds up though, if you go
Yeah.
back and rewatch the original. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm still referencing to this day, like sneaking me out in
Right.
the conversations and stuff. Okay, so did you ever think that the sequel would get made?
No, I mean, it's also something I never thought they would do because I didn't think it needed a sequel.
You didn't think it needed to get made, yeah.
Yeah, and like I know now that they've been working on it for a long time and trying to get it made, and obviously they have the Indiegogo campaign.
Yeah, so it went through a couple of different iterations. There was one version, apparently, I learned this today, but originally they had announced that it was going to be a prequel. It was going to be set in the 1970s, and they were all going to play their own dads, just with bigger mustaches, which would have been good, but yeah.
Yeah, that actually almost sounds like a better concept. I mean, not that, and we'll get to it, not that this one didn't work out, but that sounds like a better concept to me. I don't know, what did you think with beforehand? What were your thoughts going in?
I definitely did not. I thought it was going to be a thing that they would always talk about, but never make.
Yeah.
But then the Indiegogo made almost $5 million, which was more than twice what they were asking for. So clearly it's something that people wanted, and now it's here, and we're going to talk about it.
I just want a Club Dread 2, even though everyone's dead in that movie.
Do you?
So this movie takes place this time around. Now they are going to Canada because...
Well, are they going to Canada?
Okay,
because
sure.
it's not Canada, it's part of the US. That's the plot.
Good point. Yeah, there you go. You got it out.
So the US government discovers that there are some original stone markers that delineated the territory between the border between Canada and Vermont. Actually, they discover some new markers. So a part of Canada actually gets like annexed into the United States peacefully, or not. Well, that's the idea. And so the Super Troopers get recruited to help
Just be the ones who are the starter police,
welcome,
essentially. Yeah.
to welcome our new U.S. citizens, and the Canadians are not happy about it.
What better starter police could you possibly get?
What better representatives of the United States than these f***ing idiots?
It's also funny because, you know, just from my logical brain going when it shouldn't be for a movie like this, but at the beginning of the movie, they've all been disbanded. They don't have jobs anymore.
Right, they've all been fired for a reason that we won't spoil.
Yeah.
But it comes up throughout the movie, and it's f***ing hilarious.
Yeah, so they've been fired for this reason, yeah, and they end up getting reinstated for this job, which seems like exactly what you wouldn't do in real
Right, you would want your
reality.
best cops,
Yeah.
not literally the worst cops
And the
that
people who were
exist.
fired. It's like, oh, let's rehire you to help settle this Canadian-American transition. I'll say so, and I don't think this is spoiling too much, but the plot really revolves around the Canadian forces and the Super Troopers clashing with each other and having
Right.
issues.
Yeah.
And for me, when
They
it
don't
got
get along.
right, not at all. But for me, that was the bulk of where I started to really enjoy the movie. So as soon as it got to that point, I started having a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
just their antics against each other, and then when they're being again cops, that was where I was like, okay, this is fun now. I'm enjoying this.
When they're one-upping each other.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, but it is in the trailer. at one point a live bear becomes involved, and one side locks the other side inside of their station house with a live bear, and then oh man, the troopers,
which was a real bear too. We found out during the Q&A.
yeah, they shot it with a real bear.
Real bear.
Which like, I don't know how much you'd have to pay me to shoot with a real bear. But then at one point the troopers wind up impersonating the Mounties for a while, and that's when some of the old jokes from the original get brought in. Like they do the pull over games where they pull people over, and just the limitation of still having to kind of act like real cops goes out the window because they're trying to smear the Canadian, the Mounties. So they're dressed up as Mounties and they're just totally no holds barred, just going insane, like doing the wackiest shit, just with poor people who they've pulled over, these unsuspecting motorists.
And for me, that was some of the best parts of the movie, was that, just specifically, was again, just bringing it back to, not necessarily grounded, but more so grounded, where it's like, okay, horribly or crazy antics with cops doing ridiculous things.
And
so,
that's what really worked about the original, and
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing about this movie too. Okay, so did you like this movie, and how do you think it compares to the original?
yeah, surprisingly I did, and that's what was, like, caught me off guard, is that I wasn't, well, like I said, humor changes, my humor's changed, my sense of humor, and that type of movie was just a totally different type of humor too. So the fact that I thought it was funny and I enjoyed it, most of the jokes, I'd say, I mean, you know, it's one of those movies that there's so many rapid fire jokes.
It's so, that's what I was gonna say, is it's so like breakneck pace with the jokes. Like
Yeah.
the laughs per minute is like off the charts insane. Like I was sitting there like my jaw hurt by the end of it.
Right.
Which is not what I was expecting from this movie. I didn't have high hopes, and I was wrong.
Well, it's even with that too, since this breakneck speed with jokes, that means that there are definitely jokes that didn't work for me. I mean, there were several, but
Sure.
I can't even really remember the ones that didn't jive with me and didn't work, because there were so many that at that point there was already another joke happening, for the most part.
How do you think would you say it's like the same style of humor as the original?
It's been so long since I watched the original.
Really?
Yeah, that's the hard thing, is I probably should have prepared for this and watched the original.
Okay, so let's not, you ask me that question.
Okay, let me ask you though, do you think the humor was similar to the original? Was it the same style of humor, or did they change it up at all?
I think surprisingly it's like the exact same kind of humor. Like it's all the same. The Broken Lizard guys it's all the same guys, and they kind of I don't want to say rehash because that sounds negative, but
Right.
but a lot of jokes from the original they kind of come back and they do them in new ways. But then there's also a lot of like legitimately new bits as well. And I think like if you liked the humor in the original, you will like the humor in this movie. It's a very similar vibe. I feel like the original was a lot more grounded in its plot. Like they were highway troopers and they were brawling with the local cops. And then there's this conspiracy with Johnny Chimpo, the monkey, and the drugs, and there's sort of like a really solid through line. And in this movie, it definitely feels like more like a loosely connected series of skits. And that's like my main criticism of this movie, is that it doesn't have that like solid plot, really. It like, or any plot, it's just them, it's just like a bunch of really funny skits.
It felt very whimsical in a way to me, because of that, where it's just like, oh, okay, now this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And like you said, there wasn't really a through line. It's just like, okay, on to the next thing and on to the next part.
Yeah.
And for me, too, there were certain parts I really enjoyed that I would have liked to have seen more of, and parts that I didn't care for. But obviously that's subjective and it's going to change per person. And I guess we'll talk about that with the good and the bad. But like, I know you enjoyed the intro. I did not enjoy the intro.
I thought the intro, because the intro of the original, where they pull over the stoners and then they keep driving past them.
Yeah.
And then one of them comes out in a wig and it's like a whole, to me, that's like greatest movie intros.
Right.
Of all, that's up there. And I honestly feel like the intro in this movie kind of tops it in a way, and I was literally dying. And it was from the opening minutes, I was like, I felt a lot better about the movie as a whole. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. What did you think about the cast? We have all the original guys back, but then we have like a big supporting cast, including like Rob Lowe as the mayor of the Canadian town that's being brought into the U.S. He's like a former hockey star turned mayor and also a brothel owner, and he's super good. And all of the Canadian characters are doing like this ridiculous cartoonish French Canadian accent. What'd you think?
I liked it. I thought they were fun. I thought it was good. I think some of the French Canadian stuff was a little too far for me, where it was, like you said, almost cartoonish to a point.
Like the accents, like the
Right.
like personas of like the other characters.
Yeah, where it was like to me, it was like almost to a point where it's cartoonish, and again, it went a little too far, but I still overall enjoyed it. What did you feel?
I mean, I feel like I can say this as a French Canadian. Look at that last name, Rougeau. Put it right here, Rougeau. I'm French Canadian, and I thought that it was pretty spot on.
See, I guess like that's the thing.
In a lot of spots, like the accents and the humor in a lot of ways goes past like the Canadian stereotypes that you would expect. It does do those things also, but a lot of it rings really true to me.
I think that's the thing where me with my mindset assumes that some of that stuff is just stereotyping to an extreme.
Some of it is, but also...
I mean, you can come in and tell me like, actually a lot of it is fair. I mean, like at the same time, it's like if someone were to stereotype Americans and show like fast food and like some of the negative American stereotypes, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of true.
That's fair.
Actually, yeah,
that's fair, you'd say.
Yeah.
I think it also works a little bit because in a lot of scenes, the Canadians, especially like the Mounties, who they're kind of rivaling with, like Will Sasso is amazing. I think in a lot of scenes they give as good as they get, which makes it feel less like they're the butt of the joke and more like they're in on the joke.
Yeah, like I never felt like it was, not that this is the right term, countryist. I was gonna say racist, but that wouldn't be the word. Countryist. Nationalist, I don't know. Like I never felt like it was insulting Canada.
You felt like it was mean.
Right, like you said, because a lot of the jokes were against the US, and then a lot of the jokes were against Canada.
Right.
So
I feel like it's
a,
mean, but it's equally mean on both sides. Like you get the sense, even among the core group of comedians, you get the sense that they're friends and they like each other, and that's like a big part of their chemistry working. They're not nice to each other, but they're all equally mean. It's not like anyone is the butt of the joke specifically. Like often it's Farva, but
I was gonna say Farva is pretty much constantly the butt of the joke.
But Farva is as big an asshole to them as they are to him.
And to himself, actually.
Let's talk about Farva, because this was one thing that they said in the Q&A after we saw the movie. They said that it was hard for them to write Farva because he's become such like kind of an iconic weird character in certain circles. It was hard for them to write him without going completely crazy over the top. Like at one point they had a version of the movie that was just, he was the main character and he was just literally insane and they had to walk it back a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny when they said that in the Q&A because he was pretty much literally insane in the movie.
Yeah, he's totally gone.
He's completely gone off the deep end.
Some of the stuff he does at the, I won't spoil it, but some of the stuff he does at the end, I was like, that doesn't feel like a real person would do, but it's really funny though.
Right, and again, that was some of the stuff that crossed it for me a little bit, where like there were points with Farva that I enjoyed, and again, I don't want to spoil the jokes, but things like specifically when the other Super Troopers are playing jokes on him, that for me played really well.
Yeah.
And like him trying to insult them and all that played well, but then some things that he does specifically to himself, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's a little too insane.
But like when he's trying to, like they'll insult him and he'll say something back that's just doesn't work at all, like completely dumb. I love Farva. I don't want to like ruin any of the punchlines, but I'm thinking of stuff in my head right now that was like so funny.
That's what's hard is there's like specific references I want to make and I'm like, well, I can't because I don't want to ruin it for anyone.
Yeah. Go see it though.
Yeah, I mean honestly it was a lot of fun.
Okay, so what did we like about this movie? I thought that the humor was spot on, just as good as the original. All the characters have such great chemistry still. And I thought that they did a good job of like balancing, bringing back some old jokes, doing new versions, and then there's like a lot of original jokes. I felt like every scene they could have like kept going for an hour and not run out of material. Like that's how good their chemistry is together.
I feel like for me it was just the speed, the breakneck pace of jokes, because again, when ones didn't work for me, there was another one ready to go that probably did work. And then, like you said, the chemistry is great between the cast still, which is why they're a really good improv troupe. They work really well together. And then specifically when they actually become cops again and they're reinstated, that was the point where I was like, okay, I'm in again. I'm having a lot of fun. So at that point, I'd say the entire middle portion of the sandwich of a movie, the meat inside, I really liked.
What did you not like?
So for me, the bread, I guess, is what I didn't like as much.
Sure, keep going with this analogy.
The sandwich analogies.
Totally works.
The bread was a little burnt. It was a little too well done. It was just that, like I said, the intro, I didn't like the intro very much. And I felt like after the intro, it takes a little while to get set up. Like there's a little portion where they're getting reinstated and they're becoming troopers again. And that period just felt a little slow to me.
I think I agree with you that it was kind of oddly paced overall. Like I think a couple of things went on a little too long, and then a couple of other things they could have spent more time on, they didn't. I think overall just the basic premise of the movie is so stupid
Yeah.
and so not grounded in reality that it doesn't have like a solid through line of an actual plot driving it forward. So it kind of feels lackadaisical almost, like just this loosely connected series of skits that are very, very funny. So I ultimately didn't mind.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of fun skits, and one might not work, but one will work. And yeah, I think overall it's good.
It comes together at the end. Like there does wind up being a through line.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It's not important for most of the movie. So
Yeah, it's just a very, almost like Deus Ex Machina through line in a way.
Yeah.
Where something just happens that happens.
right, they're just happening across things,
Yeah.
kind of. So
So, but whatever, it's a comedy
cares?
movie. Yeah, it's not really a big deal. It's a comedy movie. It's not like you're watching for the plot. Overall, though, I enjoyed it. I recommend it. I think it's worth seeing. What do you think?
Yep.
Doing the Super Trooper jokes. We haven't even started filming yet. Actually, we have. It's rolling.
You can use that.
I can use that, and I probably will. I don't
You
laugh out
are-
loud very
I didn't
much.
want to say anything, but you are horrible today.
You know, it's funny. So when we went to go see the movie, right?
Are we shooting right? Is this part of the thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Might as well. Anything could be part of the thing.
Okay.